brothers in business. Today's an episode that I care really quite deeply about, and it's about how to increase your value, whether that's as an individual or to your employer, where you're asking for a potential salary increase. We really want to spend the time today deep diving in the exact steps that you can take to increase your own value. So, obviously, getting straight into it, what are the things that you think right off the bat that people should be doing nowadays to increase their value?
I mean, the biggest one is learning anything in any sort of format that you can, whether it's a book, whether it's a podcast. This might be one. Whether it's been and surrounding yourself with the right people, it's constantly just about learning and being around the right people. I mean, I know, like you say, you've got a lot to say.
Yeah, I mean, regarding learning, it's not about just learning anything. So, obviously, to be hyper successful, you have to be really conscious of what you're putting into your mind. For example, if you are Tiger Woods, you should be looking day in, day out, how to improve your golf swing, how to improve your putting, how to improve your short game, your long game, learning about golf, what clubs to use, every sort of facet of that particular niche that you're trying to excel forward in. That's where you need to be spending your time and increasing and improving your knowledge in that particular area. There's no point in Tiger Woods, who wants to be the world's best golfer, spending half of his time learning to play golf and the other half of spending his time learning how to freestyle swim. It's just completely, it's idiotic.
No, it's not.
So yeah, learning again is sort of a massive one. So keeping on the subject of learning, what sort of things should people be learning in terms of how they should be learning? Where should they go to get that information?
Well, like I say, podcasts are huge. I mean, but going back to it, really, what I've found extremely helpful is having the goals and setting where you want to be, and then I'd narrow it down into smaller chunks and make, say, a list, and then slowly tick off the elements of that list until you've then got to the end goal. So, if you want to be the best golfer, using that same example, you write down, right, I want to get to this many, holes in one. Maybe that's a bit ambitious, or this many pars on a golf course. And how you're going to do that, I suppose you need to improve like you say, your putting, your chipping, your driving, and then slowly segment that down. So on a Monday, we'll improve, how I drive the ball. On Tuesday, how I use an iron and things like that, really.
Yeah, so that definitely helps to compartmentalize the thing that you're actually trying to push yourself towards. So, for example, we'll use the topic of increasing your own salary. Like, this is something that we obviously do a lot because people knock on our doors every 5 minutes asking for their salaries to go up, which, is part and parcel of running a business. But the first question that, and actually sort of going back a stage, we encourage that. And everybody that I employ within our business, I say to them sort of actively, knock on my door, please come and speak to me about how to get your money up within the business. Because what I'll tell you is that I need this being done, whether it's reaching a specific sales target or completing a certain task or changing something within the business that has long-term benefits. We actively encourage all of our team members to knock on our doors and ask for that salary increase, because what I will then give them is either a goal or a task, and say to them, look, if you can achieve this, whether it's a sales target, whether it's a change to the business, whether it's a change to the system or an improvement, then I will then happily, in exchange for that goal being completed, I'm happy to put the salary up. So again, the more you know as a person, so I go back to obviously what you'd said with regards to learning, the more that you know and the more that you've taken on within your specific area, that you can then give by way of a sort of, let's say, an improvement to a company or improvement to your own sales, you can transfer that knowledge that you've then gained through reading a book, through watching a video, or going to an event, a sales event, listening to a podcast, and then implementing the knowledge that you've taken from that and transfer it into your own sort of real life application. you can so quickly increase your own salary or your own sort of money or value that's going into your own personal life by just simply watching a video. And people are watching so much crap nowadays. And
TikTok been the worst one for that.
yeah, tell me, honestly, some of these people that are doing these silly dances and doing sort of, and do you know what? Do you know who the idiots are? And this is so real. The real idiots aren't the people that are sat there doing silly dances or doing eating challenges. The idiots are you, the people actually watching it and spending your time, spending 20 seconds, 30 seconds absorbing this crap. Because if you were to ask yourself after spending 3 hours of time scrolling on stupid applications on your phone, and look, we're all guilty of it. We all do it a little bit. No one's perfect. But if you were to ask yourself after 3 hours per day, which most of you are, some people are on even more consumption of whether it's YouTube shorts, TikTok, whatever, what you've learned or what you can remember even from any of those videos that you watched. I challenge any of you to tell me at least 3 videos that you've watched in a day, and people wouldn't be able to do it. So the real idiots genuinely would be you.
Well, this it's got a name. They say that you've got TikTok brain now. It's like you've got, because what do you know? You've got TikTok brain.
Is that actually what's happening?
Yeah,
now?
that's actually what is a thing. Yeah,
But this is, it just
this
backs
is the
the point. It does, yeah, for sure. So again, learning and investing your time, and everybody says, well, I haven't got the time. I haven't got the time anymore. Go onto your phone, and again, anybody that tells me that they haven't got the time, the first thing I do, because Apple, God love them, have copped you all out on this now, because you can just simply go into settings, screen time, and all of you will just get caught out with the amount of crap that you're doing on your phone on a daily basis. And you can sit there as much as you want and tell me that it's, important information that you're learning, or whether it's, I'm uploading content, or I'm trying to absorb as much as I can to start my own channel or something. It's just lies. And you have honestly probably got 3 to 4 hours a day wasted. So if that time was spent learning about subjects that will help improve your current sort of the field that you're in currently, if you're in sales, spend 3 hours learning about sales, and I guarantee it will translate into your own actual take-home earnings at the end of the day going up.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ways that we honed down and became laser focused was we got a coach who taught us how to build up our value. And he's then navigated us through a lot of headwinds that we've then come out the other end and become massively more valuable on the knowledge that he's taught us. And, me definitely, and I know with you as well. But without someone like that, we wouldn't have gained the value in the same amount of time. And that's another massive one. If we've all got the same amount of time, but if we can do the same work in a shorter period of time, then it's worth it.
Yeah, love that. It's leverage.
Yeah,
that's literally what it comes down to. So again, touching on the second point of increasing your value is time leverage. There's a really good book on this called Life Leverage, Rob Moore.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody's interested, shout out to Rob Moore. It's a great book, and it will sort of go into some of the ways that you can actually sort of get more out of your time. Another one, Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell, great book for anybody. So to give some actual sort of immediate sort of buys, go and grab those 2 books, because genuinely they will help you so much, because a lot of it's mindset. And I talk about, time is the most important commodity that we all have. You can't buy back time, in the literal sense. Time travel doesn't exist yet. Elon Musk, come on, hurry up at what you're doing. But it's true, you can't actually go back in time. So once the time's been spent, you can't get it back. So if you can, as you've said, get more done in the sort of same amount of time, have a look at the lifestyle that you live in. For me, I know it's sort of quite a fortunate position I'm in with the actual sort of salary and the money that we now earn. But things that I've been able to outsource, such as cleaning, such as cooking, and you can buy meal preps, things now that help save me a lot of time, cleaning my own house, and certain sort of jobs around the house, gardening. I don't do any of those things, and people would say that's lazy, but it isn't. The reality is it costs me more money to do it myself through the time that it takes away from me that could be spent on my business or on growing
Yeah.
a sort of a channel than it would to actually go and conduct those actual tasks themselves. Plus, I hate cleaning with a passion.
And he's terrible at cooking.
Nah, not true.
But I mean, one of the easiest ones I can sort of just think of off the top of my head that everybody outsources is your bins getting collected. Everyone has their bins collected. No one goes to the skip every day and drops off their bins. It's outsourced. And if you had to do that yourself, you'd be spending an hour, 2 hours of your life every week dropping off bins. You don't do it. You obviously pay taxes for it, but it's time leverage still.
Yeah, and all these things, it's about searching for that sort of opportunities. So again, looking for ways to leverage your time, finding a coach. The other beauty of having a coach is the accountability
Which
side.
is massive.
So again, sort of increasing your value, as much as you're on this journey, solo really, as much as we are in business together, as much as we have been for 10 years and we look out for each other, the reality is, my journey is one that I'm on and you're obviously on your own journey. So we hold each other accountable for the journeys that we are both on, but it's not up to anybody else to sort of undertake that journey for us.
Yeah.
We're having to do it on our own.
And you've still got to, and that's why I find lists in any sort of format. Sometimes people find it easier to write it down. I think, cognitively, if you're writing it down, you're more likely to remember it. So I always find that that's good. You're typing it, I think you'd, again, more likely to remember it. But if you're just going to listen to it, it's going to be in one ear, out the other.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like you said, people just need to understand that I think everybody knows what they should be doing or what they could be doing. I think the problem is they're just not willing to do it. I was ordering breakfast the other week at a cafe, it's a nice little breakfast bar, and I wanted the protein pancakes, and I remember wanting a sort of fruit smoothie as well to go with it. And as I'm going to order, she's just looked at me sort of plainly said, "We're sold out of that, I'm afraid." And for me, I'm there thinking, what a lost opportunity. And this is one for people that are actually sort of working within a business. And again, I go back to actually increasing your value. Each of you could go and get a salary increase or a raise within a month, I'd say. If you're working for the right employer and you actually are able to have this conversation, whether it's a manager or sort of the boss at the top of the chain, you should be able to approach someone within the business that you're currently working with and have the conversation and sort of ask them, what should I be doing to be able to increase my value to you as an employer so that I can then extract more value from you out of the business? Now, it's important to sort of really understand that if the person you're working for isn't willing to have that conversation or isn't accommodating of actually you progressing within the business, then I would generally start to look at potentially looking elsewhere for a position. But generally, the feedback that you should get from someone is a plan or a goal or a set of targets where you can actually start to, implement those changes and then get the reward at the end. It's not fair for you to just knock on an employer's door. And again, I've had this before. It happens all the time.
Always a fun conversation.
And people will knock on your door and say, oh, cost of living's gone up or inflation's gone up. I want more money. And my first question back to them is, why do you deserve to have more money? You're doing the same job in the same way with the same results. You've not benefited the company, me, yourself in any way, shape or form. Why do you deserve anything more than what you've been paid sort of for the last 6 months, 12 months when you've been doing the exact same things? It makes no sense at all for people to expect more from doing the same. You need to be going, that extra step. So,
and the company's sorry as well, but the company benefits as well from having that conversation, because if you then can give them a roadmap and say, well, if you do X, Y, and Z, then the company's going to benefit, they're going to benefit, and everybody wins.
Yeah. So going back to sort of the breakfast bar example, and you can all do this, whether you're going into a business that's not even yours, look for that opportunity, but sort of be just sort of mindful of your surroundings and what's happening. So when this sort of lady who said to me, sorry, we haven't got that, we're out, there was no thought process in her head to sort of go, But what we do have is an alternative. I can see that you've sort of ordered the protein pancakes. So you're probably into sort of looking at having something with high protein content in. We can offer you this as an alternative. This would be a good idea. We're ever so sorry that this is sold out, but what I can offer you is this, and we're really sorry for the inconvenience. But you're now upselling somebody and you create an additional opportunity within a business, but then taking that as an employee, you could sort of say to the manager within that business and sort of say, look, what I want to implement is a sales process.
Mhm.
And so
That's it.
with that sales process, what I'd like to have is if we're out of a particular food item or drinks item or menu or whatever business you're in, think of a sales process to help counter that problem within the business and then have it benefit the customer, have it benefit the business because they're now generating additional revenue. And then when you start to come up with these ideas which change the business that you're in for the better, trust me, you will end up with a far greater chance of one being recognized within the business that you're actually in. Definitely when it comes to asking for more money or having the conversation, you've got that leverage to be able to say, I've come up with a sales process. I'm quick to solve problems. I want to generate sort of success and value for the business, but what I want in return is X. But if you're that sort of employee who doesn't care, if you're that employee who isn't bothering thinking about how to improve the business that you're in because it's not your business, so why should I? Why should they give you any more money? It makes no sense. You need to be spending that time thinking about your current job, where you are in that sort of business, and start to think, how could I improve? How could I improve the business? How could I improve my own knowledge? How could I improve myself? And trust me, it will pay dividends in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, and my biggest advice is go to your employer and just say, "Look, what do I need to do to get an increase? What, like, just could you give me some, if you don't already have them already, well, just what can I do?" And that starts the conversation at least.
Yeah, it does. But again, why would you approach someone and just sort of say, well, how do I make more money? Because you're giving them nothing to go off of. So, yes, it's a good place to start. But
That's
again,
it.
it's about being like good, great, or excellent. The best way to approach someone is to say, dear Mr. or Mrs., I've done XYZ and it's had this impact on the business. I found a way to save everybody 20 minutes in the day. I've found a way to improve a system or improve a process which will have this result over X period of time. I've done this, I've done that, and make it a sort of tangible result. If I said I've increased or I've implemented a sales process that has increased our conversions 10%. So we were having, let's say, 100,000 in turnover, and now I've increased our conversions 10%. We're now getting 110,000 in turnover year on year. That might sort of continue to compound and grow. So I want 3,000. So you've given
Yeah.
them clear sort of numbers and figures to say, this is how I've improved the business. And this is what I want in return. And again, it all stems from what you know. And unfortunately, when you start out in business, you get paid, in exchange for your time, so you have to, start at the bottom and you sort of really get paid for transferring your time in exchange for a particular task that they get sort of sold to you. The next step above that is you start to get paid for what the things that you've learned.
Yeah.
And then the final stage, which is the coolest stage to get there, is you finally get paid for who you are. So again, touching base on that, if you think about Michael Jordan, he got paid up to a point for what he knew in terms of what he knew to do on the basketball court. I'm going to say field. The basketball court, I'm not American, I don't watch basketball, but the
No.
point stands, he got paid for what he knew how to do with a basketball. But the real money for Michael Jordan came in the form of a Nike deal when he signed to do Air Jordan. And obviously, I think it was something like 20 million in sales in year one. And that was because he got paid for who he was. It was nothing to do with what he knew. He'd gone past that. And it was nothing to do in exchanging time for sort of, him to sort of bounce a ball around a court for a bit. Obviously, once he reached the top, let's not sort of beat around the bush. He got paid an obscene amount of money to do that.
Yeah.
But his $1 billion arrived from who he was and his association. That applies to so many people, whether it's Jay-Z, does he with a vodka brand that I think he does, or Beats
yeah.
by Dre is another one. Again, he didn't get paid for his music. He got paid for who he was and his association with Beats. The Rock, Terramana Tequila, he gets paid a lot for being in movies, but who he is sells the product, and he could sell anything. The Rock, he could sell bloody, was it? I don't know.
But you've got even Ryan Reynolds with Wrexham. I mean, look at that now. With his personal brand, he's built that whole town up, that whole city, just because he's Ryan Reynolds and his personal brand. I mean, the other guys, not so much, but he'll forget his name.
Rob McElhenney, to be fair.
Rob Simon
saved you on that one.
But it shows.
Yeah, it's all a part of increasing your value. And these people have increased their value to a point where now all they have to do is attach their name to something, whether it's a product or service, whether it's a VPN or whether it's an energy drink. Logan Paul and KSI, another great example of that. They have now increased their value to a point where genuinely, just because of who they are, makes them money.
Yeah. No,
so again, for us, really want to drill down on this. And there's a few things that obviously we've said today. So number one is learning, spending some time investing in finding some good sources of knowledge to help improve your current field. If you're in sales, find a sales book. If you're in marketing, read a marketing book. If you're in a sport, spend some time with a coach, hold yourselves accountable. And to be fair, I think what we said we'd like to do on this, reach out to us, because again, our mission to, actually start this podcast is to help at least one person and increase their value, whether it's financially or sort of bettering their lives. So honestly, all of our contact details will be linked in the description below. And we'd actually love to spend some time with at least one of you, as many of you as we possibly can, to actually start to hold you accountable, put you on a bit of a path to success. I guarantee you, if you were to spend some time with us, trust me, your salary would go up at least 20% within sort of 2 months, or you'd be on your path to a more financially free future. So again, all of our contact details will be linked below, so get in touch. But obviously, most importantly, thanks for watching and subscribe for more. Thank you. Thanks for watching.